Good morning. Thanks for your patience, folks, for sticking around and for joining us. It looks like there's still about 140 of you here, which is fantastic. So Pastor Ben is here with Joe McRae, who's a member of our Capital Campaign leadership team, and then Dan Ruth, who you just heard from. But if you're coming back or just joining us, Dan is the executive director at Lutheran Partners in Global Ministry. And LPGM has deep roots here at Bethlehem. It is an organization that we've been working with for decades. Its story is a part of our history, and so we are thrilled to continue to be deepening that relationship, nurturing that relationship, and pushing that forward in the context of the Capital Campaign this go round. Joe's going to share a little bit with you about where we are as a Capital Campaign to date and the amazing generosity that we've seen so far and how we are excited to continue to move forward together over the next 2.5 years. Also, just give you a little bit more history and context about LPGM, and then we're going to hand it over to Dan, and he's going to be able to share a little bit more with us in detail about what's going on with Parktown, the Arcot Lutheran Church in India, and some of the other great areas of work around the world that LPGM is engaged in. So, Joe, you ready?
All set.
Cool.
Thank you, Ben.
One more thing. Sorry, Dan. I did that too. If you have questions, I'll be monitoring the chat section, so feel free to drop those in, and I'll feed those to Dan or to Joe, or I doubt they'll be for me, but happy to relay those. So please put in any questions you have in the chat. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ben. We launched the Building a Future with Hope Capital Campaign last fall with a goal of raising $2 million for this Capital Campaign. And this is a campaign that's had many firsts. First of all, we took a giant leap of faith launching a Capital Campaign at the height of a global pandemic. Second, we have a Capital Campaign committee that's never met in person. It's always been via Zoom. And this is the first Capital Campaign that Bethlehem has executed without an external consulting partner. It's 100% volunteer-driven. So far to date, we've had 264 pledges to the Building a Future with Hope campaign, pledges over $1.3 million. And the most exciting part of that for me is we've had 98 new pledges from donors who did not participate in a recent Capital Campaign. And each one of those new pledges also qualifies for a $300 matching contribution from the Bethlehem Foundation. So to date, the Foundation has committed to contributing almost $30,000 toward the campaign. In addition to that, we've had a number of unpledged gifts to bring the total commitments of the Capital Campaign so far to just over $1.4 million. Really exciting. So the first commitment of the Capital Campaign is to make sure we cover the monthly mortgage payments, and then hopefully to provide a lump sum pay down toward the mortgage principal balance at the end of the campaign. The second commitment is to maintain or to continue maintenance and ongoing projects at both campuses. And considering the age of the various buildings, there are no shortages of projects for that. Includes things like water intrusion, addressing water intrusion, and replacing mechanical equipment. And then, as we have always done, a percentage of the funds that we raise is going to be used for outreach. And in this campaign, we decided to really focus on strengthening our partnerships with existing outreach partners that we had an existing relationship with, and specifically in the area of housing as a part of the people to place component of our mission statement. Housing security is one of the most important factors in long-term stability, family stability, and success. So we've got partners that are right within our own walls, such as Starfish Ministries. We've got local partners within our community, such as Beacon Interfaith Housing Collaborative. And then we've got global partners, such as LPGM and the Parktown Hostel that you'll hear a little bit about. So LPGM is one of the longest term partners, outreach partners of Bethlehem. was founded by Bethlehem Minneapolis members Gordon and Betty Olson in 1995. Many members of the community here at Bethlehem have actually visited the Parktown School in Chennai, India, and I'm certain there are people here who have actually supported the education of students at Parktown as well. Unfortunately, what we've seen is the neighborhood around the Parktown School has started to become gentrified, and the Indian government has been working to clean up the streets and has pushed poor families further out into outer neighborhoods or into the slums. So the goal of this campaign is to help fund a conversion of a women's hostel to providing housing for the students at Chennai. We'll be able to provide funding also for transportation, staffing, and supplies as a part of this campaign. And in fact, without this project, many of the students that are currently being supported and served by the Parktown School would not be able to continue attending. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Ben. And thank you to all of you who are part of this capital campaign and part of this community at Bethlehem. I was thinking about how, I was going to say rare, maybe not rare, but how special it is that Bethlehem, for as long as I've known, in your capital campaigns aren't simply raising things for your own community, your own building, your mortgage needs, which are all great, needed, necessary things that will further the mission and ministry of your congregation. But Bethlehem, for a long time, has committed additional money as part of each capital campaign to ministries and missions like Lutheran Partners. And as a longtime partner of Bethlehem's, we at Lutheran Partners in Global Ministry are extremely grateful to that. So thank you for continuing to do that and for continuing your partnership with Lutheran Partners and Parktown Mission School in Chennai. Lutheran Partners, as an organization, we believe that, that everything that we do has to point toward our vision and mission as an organization. Our vision is that relationships transform boundaries. So everything we do is rooted in relationships with our overseas neighbors, with our partner church bodies, our partner organizations that we work with, the students that we serve through our sponsorships, that relationships are central to those, and it takes relationships to really, truly make a difference. And we do that through an approach of listening, responding, and then bearing witness to the remarkable lives that people live all around the world. So at the Parktown Mission School in particular, it's a school of the Arcot Lutheran Church in southern India, right in the heart of Chennai. As Joe mentioned, it is an area that previously experienced a lot of poverty, and so the school was created to serve the children in that neighborhood. But in recent years, over the past decade, it has gentrified a lot. The Chennai government has put a lot of money into that community. And I believe we may have a photo of a classroom that we can show up on the screen that serves children from first standard all the way up through 12th standard, which is essentially kindergarten through 12th grade, or first grade through 12th grade, in the heart of Chennai. And as this community has gentrified, it hasn't necessarily raised the economic opportunities for the families who live there. It has ultimately pushed them out to other areas outside of Chennai. And yet, many of them continue to move back to where their home is and try to live nearby because that is the area that they know. And so many families end up living on the streets. Your capital campaign dollars are being put toward investing in a hostel, in a boarding home, essentially, especially for girls who are most at risk. And there is an existing space that the Arcot Lutheran Church has at a women's hostel that they started many years ago that has space. It's not right next to Parktown, and so there will be busing that happens to and from the hostel to the school. But Parktown is an amazing school that serves the poorest students in the middle of a gigantic city in India. Now, I also want to mention that as I mentioned in my sermon, and as I'm sure that you see daily in the news, that India is in the middle of one of its worst, in fact, its worst phase of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so your prayers and your support is needed right now more than ever. So even apart from investing in the women's hostel in Parktown, your donations, your sponsorship of individual students, which you can do directly through Lutheran Partners. Sorry, Ben, if I'm pitching my, my own organization. But you can go online and sponsor a student. You can give directly to Lutheran Partners or through your offerings to Bethlehem and the Capital Campaign. Your investments in Lutheran Partners and in that partnership helps us to respond immediately as the needs change on an ongoing basis in our partnerships in India and in all of our partnerships around the world. So obviously a year ago we had no idea what would happen with this pandemic that was starting. I was in India in February of 2020, and people were talking about this new virus that was starting to spread from China. You know, it was kind of being murmured, it was hitting the news, but obviously none of us at that point knew what was going to become of it. And as the year has gone on, and as it has waxed and waned throughout various countries, your ongoing donations really help us to respond quickly and immediately and pivot where we need to so that we can walk with our partners, we can serve students in the best way that we can, and be able to say, okay, let's take the funding that we had set aside for this particular program or event, and let's use it to serve those same students, but in a really different way that we never would have anticipated before. So over the past year, we've provided food support for students and families through dry food ration distributions. We have taken funding from sponsorships to put together groups of teachers and volunteers and caretakers from boarding homes who are able to go to small villages and do outdoor distanced education for students who are not in school, and schools across India have been closed for most of the last year. And so your donations right now are needed more than ever to continue to provide support as needs change. And we are in constant conversations with the Arcot Lutheran Church, with the boarding schools, with the leadership at Parktown and Siloam and Melpatambakam and Saran and all the schools that we support, to say what is it you need right now and how can we provide that support for you. So as you think about your support of the Capital Campaign and what you can do at Parktown and throughout your support, please keep in mind that your ongoing support for Lutheran Partners also responds to the unprecedented needs in India right now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Dan, I just want to jump in. You don't have to apologize for talking about the important work that LPGM is doing. One of the reasons why I think this relationship between LPGM and Bethlehem is so important is that there are so many layers to it. LPGM is a recipient of dollars from our annual outreach budget. We give to LPGM on a yearly basis to support the operating expenses of LPGM to allow it to pivot and respond and meet the needs of the moment. There's so many of you that are sponsors of children, individual sponsors that give directly to LPGM. All of that helps strengthen and bolster our work. Our investment through the Capital Campaign allows us to sort of do the next level. Just as our capital campaigns allow Bethlehem to imagine new possibilities for our work and our mission and our facilities, so too our capital investments in and with our partners allow them to do the next thing too. And so it is a multi-layered approach that has the biggest impact is when we're able to support the ongoing needs, but also go that additional step to allow new possibilities to happen. So I'm grateful that you brought up how we can respond in this current moment. So if you want to give directly to LPGM in response to what's going on, if you want to channel that through Bethlehem, we are happy to help make that happen. All right, Joe, bring us home.
All right, thanks, Ben. So thank you to all of you, especially who've stayed with us to see following the service today, and those that may be watching via the YouTube channel as well. There's something that I didn't ever expect to say via Bethlehem's YouTube channel. Thank you also to Dan Ruth, the Executive Director of LPGM, for the update. So LPGM, just a couple of quick facts. Over 6,000 students have been sponsored through Project India since the program's founding in 1996, and an additional 20,000 students supported through the partnership with the Arcot Lutheran Church that Dan mentioned. And Ben mentioned a number of people here in our congregation supporting students. Total number of sponsors supporting students at the moment is almost $2,500, so fantastic. Hopefully learning a little bit more about LPGM and the other outreach partners that we're working with will help many of you to connect more directly with them and the incredible good work that they are doing in the world, whether that's right here in our own backyard or in places like the Parktown School in Chennai. As Dan mentioned, India has been ravaged by the coronavirus pandemic, and so it's a really opportune time to help step up with contributions. If you've already pledged to the Capital Campaign, thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. If it's something you've been considering but haven't had an opportunity to do yet, please know that, as Mary pointed out, the domino effect is real. Please know that every single pledge has an impact, regardless of how large or how small. And with the partnership that we have with the Bethlehem Foundation through this campaign, even small contributions can be magnified for greater impact. This is a 3-year campaign, so we'll be accepting new pledges throughout the campaign and contributions throughout the campaign. If now isn't the right time for you to commit to it, we totally understand. There will be opportunities to do so in the future as well. And as Dan pointed out, feel free to support LPGM directly as well through their website. You can make those contributions through Bethlehem's website for the campaign or through LPGM's website for theirs. With that, thank you very much and have a great day.